From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I look back at last night's State of the Word, give you some quick highlights, and throw my insights into some of the things that were discussed. Sit back, relax, and grab a drink, and enjoy the short podcast. Hey everybody, Rob here again. In today's podcast, I really wanted to spend some time talking about the 2021 State of the Word, SOTW. And Matt Mullenweg did this broadcast from New York City last night at the time of this recording. And I thought I'd throw some thoughts into it, as I've been in the WordPress community for a long, long time. Couple of caveats here. One of the things I'll tell everybody is I met Matt in Toronto about 6 or 7 years ago when he was up here for a WordPress event, and it was such a pleasure. I am not in the Matt Mullenweg hatred camp. I do think there's some things he could do differently, but personally, I'm not a Matt detractor. I think he's done a lot for the community, and he's done a lot for me and my profession and what I do for a living. So from that standpoint alone, that's a real good thing. I want to start out by saying one of the things I was disappointed in State of the World is Matt did not spend a lot of time talking about the community and the issues in the community. And if you know, on this podcast, I've had Paul Lacey on, I've had Brian Gardner on, I've had multiple people on our year in review on, and we've all talked about the community and what the community means to us. And I think one of the things Matt could have done was embrace the community a little more. But that said, I think he did some things right with the community. For example, he had 35 or so community people in the room when he did State of the Word. That was a really, really good thing to do personally. The other thing Matt did yesterday, I noticed, is he had more energy yesterday when he was talking than I've seen him in a long time. And I don't know if the pandemic had a lot to do with that, or if other things had a lot to do with that. I'm just not sure. But I thought I'd mention that. He did start off by mentioning 5.9 had been delayed to the end of January, as we know. And he kind of said it was unprecedented. It's never really been done that way before. And I don't recall a major release that's ever been delayed over a month. And the concern with 5.9, frankly, is full site editing. I've looked at the beta a little bit. Beta 3 just came out yesterday. And what I'll tell you is the beta is pretty stable. So I think by the time we get to release date, we'll be in really good shape, in my personal opinion. So that's the first big thing. The other thing he did was he sort of did a review of some things that happened during the year. And let me sort of highlight these. There's 8 new core contributors to the core, which is a big deal. He highlighted Openverse. And for those who don't know, our Openverse is a Creative Commons image licensing page. And what it allows people to do at wordpress.org/Openverse is to bring in Creative Commons or free images, as long as you have attribution to them, to your WordPress website. That's amazing that they've taken on that project to keep it going. He talked about the new pattern directory on WordPress.org, and that comes into play if you are headed towards Gutenberg. And one thing he's mentioned, what I really think is important, is diversity in WordPress. And he talked about the diversity speaker program. And I think diversity is important because we have to get away from all this. It's just the white male that does WordPress. No, it's ladies, it's people from India, it's people from all over the world. So let's try and make the community a little more diverse. And then he went on to talk about learning in WordPress, learn.wordpress.org, which is WordPress's learning initiative. And I think that's really important because if we want to improve the space, we need to bring more people into WordPress. For those who don't know, the current stat, and Matt highlighted it yesterday, WordPress occupies about 43% of all websites on the internet. 43%, that number is just staggering. And when you look at platforms, let me give you the top 5. 1 is WordPress, 2 is Shopify, 3 is Wix, 4 is Squarespace, and 5 is Joomla. And the other 4 aren't even close to WordPress. And that is absolutely amazing. Then Matt goes on to security reports. And he kind of talks about that we're doing a really good job of closing security reports. And I think that's important. And I think what people need to realize is if WordPress powers 43% of the internet, and that makes them the dominant CMS content management system out there, the minute you become big, you become a target for hackers. Look at Microsoft. Frankly, Microsoft does a really, really good job at patching holes. But the reality of it all is they have issues because they are the number one operating system out there. And when you become number one, you become a target. And that's part of the issues with WordPress. Then he highlighted a little bit about the 2022 theme, which will be released with WordPress 5.9. That's the new theme coming up. And just to kind of give you an idea of how many people are involved in WordPress, with 5.7, there were 480 contributors. With the 5.8 release, there were 530. And with 5.9, we've already had 580 contributors, and there's still a couple weeks to go. So that's a pretty big deal there. With 5.9, there's some things coming. New navigation blocks for Gutenberg, new styles, and more block patterns. What a shock. So if you're in the Gutenberg camp, and I'm not here to say whether you should be or shouldn't be, most people who know me know that I say, use what works for you. Gutenberg, a page builder, however you want to do it. There's a lot of trending towards the future mentioned. And Matt sort of got into the discussion yesterday around Web3. And he said the big thing is we got to keep decentralizing the web. And I tend to agree with that philosophy very much so. And one of the ways you can decentralize is you can participate. And the big thing with WordPress and open source software is you can participate anywhere. And that's the biggest attraction with WordPress. Whatever you do is open source and you can contribute and you can participate anywhere WordPress is, which is really good. And frankly, at the end of the day, Matt was saying he would like to have more companies that make their living involved in WordPress to do things for WordPress, which goes around the Five for Future initiative. Take 5% of what you get from WordPress and put it back into the commons, i.e. the community. And I am a real big believer of Five for the Future. And one of the places I get involved in a big way, and even more so recently, is I'm managing the WordPress, or help managing with Courtney Robertson, the WordPress product community group, which is located on LinkedIn. And that's one of the ways I like to contribute back, as well as helping people, as well as having discussions, as well as doing a podcast, which I often have WordPress guests out. So I like to do it in a number of ways. So look at Five for the Future. And Gutenberg. It's one of those love-hate things for many people. Here's kind of a bit of the roadmap. In 2018, we made easier editing. In 2019, we added customizations. and we have 5.9 coming out in 2021. In 2023, which is a couple years away, more towards collaboration, and then down the road, some multilingual language support. And I think that's really important. Not everybody's language is English, and that's really important. So if you go to WordPress.org, you can do a search for many things, including the photos or 5 for the future. So check those out. And how can you contribute to the community? Everybody thinks it's just design. It's not really. You can do design, you can code, you can get involved in the community like I am, learning, training, or even documentation. So there's a couple ways. And then think about how WordPress has helped grow your story. And one of the things Courtney Robertson and I talked about is your WordPress origin story when we got involved, both of us, in the WordPress product community group. And in the next couple of days, I'm actually going to do a podcast and share my WordPress origin story and how I got involved with WordPress. The next WordCamp will be WordCamp Seville in 2021, the first in-person WordCamp after 21 months. Congratulations. And then, of course, many people heard the big announcement, and I can't wait, and I kind of want to be there, is WordCamp US 2022 will be dates to come in San Diego, California. And I love California. So there's one I would kind of like to be at. So there's some quick highlights on what was talked about in, WordCamp, about WordCamps, about WordPress from Matt, about a number of things. Now, there wasn't anything, in my opinion, real earth-shattering or new yesterday. It was kind of more this is what we've done recently, and this is where Gutenberg is headed. There was no mention of page builders, which frankly didn't surprise me because page builders are a third-party product. There was no mention of really any in-depth Gutenberg stuff, just kind of some surface stuff. And I would have liked personally a little more in-depth stuff coming out of Matt yesterday. I think I was in a conversation earlier today where Paul Lacey mentioned and said, this could have all been summed up in a blog post. Probably could have, but I think Matt wanted to deliver it to the community to have a presence again. And I alluded to this at the top of this podcast, and I think it's really important. I think some more could have been done, frankly, around community and the WordPress community. And I don't mean just giving back. I mean even more. And I think that's one of the challenges of WordPress right now is building the community. So that's some quick thoughts on the state of the word last night and some of my opinion. I'm not suggesting it's the only one. I'm not suggesting I'm right or wrong. But thanks for Matt for putting it out there. Thanks for all the conversation that's going to go on. And I have to highlight my good friend, Mr. Bob Dunn, Bob WP, for the most unique way to get to State of the World, and that was by train. Well done, Bob. Love you. And for everybody else, Rob Cairns, CEO, founder, chief creator of Amazing Ideas of Stunning Digital Marketing. Be back all soon with another great podcast. Hope you're all doing well. And please take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing. For more information about Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info. From here, you can connect to us on social media, go to our website, and even go to the podcast to subscribe. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.